Who's the most ruthless villain in Game of Thrones? From cunning manipulators to brutal warriors, the world of Westeros is filled with unforgettable antagonists. We're breaking down every major Game of Thrones villain in just 15 minutes. Let's dive in. Cersei Lannister stands as one of the most significant villains in Game of Thrones. Her character is defined by an unquenchable thirst for power and a willingness to employ ruthless methods to achieve her goals. As the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms, Cersei's actions are driven by a deep-seated desire to maintain and expand her family's influence over Westeros. What sets Cersei apart is her readiness to take extreme measures, often disregarding moral and ethical considerations. This ruthlessness is exemplified in one of her most villainous acts, the orchestration of the Great Sept explosion. Using wildfire, an incredibly destructive substance, she eliminates key rivals including the High Sparrow and Margaery Tyrell. This mass murder inadvertently leads to the death of her last living child, King Tommen, showcasing the destructive nature of her ambition. Cersei's approach to power is rooted in fear. She frequently employs brutal forces like Gregor Clegane, also known as the Mountain, to instill terror and maintain control. Her willingness to break alliances and conventions leads to numerous betrayals, including lying about sending Lannister forces to aid in the Great War against the Night King.
Let the monsters kill each other. And while they battle in the north, we take back the lands that belong to us.
And then what?
And then we rule.
While fiercely loyal to her children, Cersei's love is not unconditional. She's willing to act against family members she perceives as threats, like her brother Tyrion. This complex web of loyalty and betrayal adds depth to her villainy, making her a formidable and unpredictable antagonist throughout the series. Moving from mother to son, we encounter Joffrey Baratheon, a character whose cruelty and sadism shocked viewers from the moment he appeared on screen. As the product of incest between Cersei and Jaime Lannister, Joffrey's true parentage is a closely guarded secret that plays a crucial role in the series' plot. Pampered from a young age, Joffrey grows into a ruler who thrives on inflicting pain and demonstrating power over others. His sadistic tendencies are evident in his treatment of characters like Sansa Stark, whom he subjects to regular humiliation and abuse. Joffrey relishes in the misery of others, finding entertainment in arranging brutal spectacles or participating in them himself.
But they've the soft hearts of women. So long as I am your king, treason shall never go unpunished. Sir Ilyn, bring me his head.
One of Joffrey's most infamous acts is ordering the execution of Eddard Stark, despite assurances that Ned would be spared if he confessed to treason. This impulsive decision, defying his advisor's counsel, becomes a catalyst for the ongoing conflict between the Starks and the Lannisters, known as the War of the Five Kings. Although petulant and impulsive, Joffrey understands the power of fear. He uses it to keep those around him in line, often threatening violence to maintain control over his court. His reign leaves a legacy of chaos, betrayal, and strife that echoes throughout the series, affecting relationships within the Lannister family and contributing to the eventual wars and clashes that envelop the realm. Now, let's delve into one of the most sadistic characters in the series, Ramsay Bolton. Initially known as Ramsay Snow, his insatiable desire for legitimacy and power drives many of his cruel actions. When legitimized as a Bolton, he becomes obsessed with proving himself to his father and establishing his dominance. What makes Ramsay particularly terrifying is the pleasure he derives from inflicting pain and terrorizing his victims. He shows a particular talent for psychological manipulation and physical torture. His transformation of Theon Greyjoy into the Broken Reek showcases his brutality and manipulation skills.
You don't look like a Theon Greyjoy anymore. That's a name for a lord. But you're not a lord. You're just meat.
Ramsay's cruelty extends beyond individuals to entire populations. He often releases his captives or victims only to hunt them for sport, using them as prey for entertainment. This act exemplifies his complete lack of empathy and thrill in domination.
You'll always be my firstborn.
Thank you for saying that. It means a great deal to me.
In a bid to secure his claim to the Bolton name and lands, Ramsay commits one of his most villainous acts, killing his father, Roose Bolton, shortly after Rose's wife gives birth to a legitimate heir. He also murders his stepmother and newborn half-brother, eliminating any rivals while demonstrating his viciousness. Ramsay's presence elevates the stakes for the protagonists, particularly during the struggles for power in the north. His unpredictable nature and inclination towards violence create a palpable sense of threat, compelling other characters to rise against him. The character of Ramsay Bolton serves as a stark contrast to the more politically motivated villains of the series. Ramsay's actions often seem to be driven by a pure love of cruelty. This makes him a uniquely terrifying presence in the world of Game of Thrones. Who do you think is the most cunning villain in Game of Thrones? Many would argue it's Petyr Baelish, also known as Littlefinger. Often working behind the scenes, Littlefinger orchestrates conflicts and advances his own ambitions through sly calculation and manipulation.
Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder.
Born into a minor noble family, Petyr Baelish rises to power through clever manipulation and strategic alliances. His adage, "Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder," encapsulates his philosophy of exploiting disorder to climb the social and political hierarchy.
I did warn you not to trust me.
One of Littlefinger's most villainous acts is betraying Eddard Stark. Despite initially promising aid, his betrayal leads directly to Ned's capture and execution, becoming a key inciting event for the War of the Five Kings. He also sets the stage for tension between the Starks and Lannisters through the dagger assassination attempt on Bran Stark, implicating Tyrion Lannister and sowing discord between the two houses. Littlefinger's tactic of constantly switching loyalties and playing multiple sides against each other exacerbates tensions and conflicts, maximizing chaos in a world already rife with treachery. His actions intertwine with nearly all major plotlines throughout the series, illustrating the dangers of unchecked ambition and moral decay. What makes Littlefinger such a formidable villain is his ability to operate in plain sight. Unlike more openly antagonistic characters, he maintains a facade of helpfulness and loyalty while secretly orchestrating some of the most pivotal and destructive events in the series. His manipulations extend to personal relationships as well, particularly his complex and often unsettling interactions with Sansa Stark, whom he sees as both a ward and a reminder of his unrequited love for her mother, Catelyn. Littlefinger's machinations demonstrate the power of information and cunning in the world of Westeros. In a realm where physical strength and noble birth are often seen as the keys to power, he shows how a sharp mind and a willingness to exploit others can be equally, if not more, effective tools for advancement. Then comes Tywin Lannister, the patriarch of House Lannister, who is known for his strategic brilliance and ruthless approach to securing power for his family. Obsessed with legacy and continued dominance, Tywin's life's work is to restore and maintain the power and prestige of the Lannisters above all else. Renowned for his intellect and military acumen, Tywin is a master strategist feared and respected by allies and enemies alike. He's willing to employ brutal tactics and make morally dubious decisions to achieve his goals, often crossing into villainous territory.
Robb Stark had one, never lost a battle, and you defeated him all the same. Oh, I know. Walder Frey gets all the credit. Or the blame, I suppose, depending on your allegiance.
Arguably, Tywin's most infamous act is orchestrating the Red Wedding to eliminate Robb Stark and his family as a threat to Lannister power. This massacre, carried out under the guise of diplomacy and hospitality, is a ruthless and strategic move to end the war swiftly. Tywin shows contempt for his son Tyrion, whom he blames for the death of his wife during childbirth. Despite Tyrion's loyalty and competence, Tywin frequently belittles and attempts to undermine him, notably putting him on trial for a crime he knows Tyrion did not commit. Now, let's shift our focus to a different kind of villain, the Night King. As the leader of the White Walkers, the Night King embodies the themes of death and the ancient battle between the living and the dead. Created by the Children of the Forest thousands of years ago as a weapon against the First Men, the Night King turned into a formidable threat to all of humanity. Unlike most other villains in Game of Thrones, the Night King is not motivated by personal ambition or malice. Instead, he's an embodiment of an impersonal, destructive force. His goal is the annihilation of the living, making him fundamentally antagonistic to all life. The Night King possesses formidable abilities, including the power to raise the dead into wights who serve his army, immortality, resistance to conventional weapons, and dominion over cold and darkness. These powers make him an almost unstoppable force. One of the Night King's most significant acts is using the resurrected dragon Viserion to breach the wall at Eastwatch by the Sea. This act symbolically and literally breaks the barrier that separated the realm of the living from that of the dead, setting in motion the final chapters of the war against his army. Next, Gregor Clegane, known as the Mountain, is one of the most physically imposing and brutally violent characters in the series. His sheer brutality and monstrous actions mark him as a significant villain in the world of Game of Thrones. Unlike more complex villains with nuanced motivations, Gregor's villainy is straightforward and defined by an utter lack of morality. He thrives on violence and is notorious for his cruelty, with a reputation for committing horrific acts without remorse. During Robert's Rebellion, Gregor brutally raped and murdered Elia Martell, the wife of Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, and killed her 2 young children. This savage act solidified his reputation as a war criminal and fueled the animosity between House Martell and the Lannisters. As part of the Lannister campaign during the War of the Five Kings, Gregor leads raids across the Riverlands, committing numerous atrocities including murder, rape, and pillage. This highlights his role as an instrument of terror used by the Lannisters to instill fear in their enemies.
Elia Martell! I killed her children! Then I raped her! Then I smashed her head in like this!
Of terror, used by the Lannisters to instill fear in their enemies. After being gravely injured in combat with Oberyn Martell, Gregor is resurrected by Qyburn through experimental procedures. He becomes an undead enforcer for Cersei Lannister, continuing to serve as a hulking embodiment of her will and carrying out her orders with ruthless efficiency. Many of you may miss Roose Bolton, whose calculated and unemotional approach to strategy and politics marks him as a villain, especially to the Stark family and their supporters. Unlike many other characters driven by passion or vendetta, Roose is pragmatic, often choosing the path that benefits his house the most, regardless of moral implications. Roose emerges as a villain primarily due to his betrayal of the Stark family, which he executes with chilling calmness and precision. He plays a pivotal role in orchestrating the Red Wedding, where he betrays his liege lord, Robb Stark, by aligning with the Lannisters and Freys. During the massacre, he personally delivers the fatal blow to Robb Stark, uttering the infamous words, "The Lannisters send their regards."
I've given you meat and wine and music, but I haven't shown you the hospitality you deserve. My king has married, and I owe my new queen a wedding gift.
Following the Red Wedding, Roose is rewarded with the title of Warden of the North, a position he consolidates by quelling dissent and ruling with an iron hand. His rule over Winterfell and the North is marked by fear and oppression, further establishing his role as a villain. Roose's decision to legitimize his sadistic bastard son, Ramsay Bolton, knowing full well the dangers Ramsay poses to others, reflects his prioritization of power and legacy over morality. This choice allows Ramsay to commit numerous atrocities that further cement the Boltons' reputation for cruelty. These characters remind us that in the Game of Thrones, morality is often gray, and the pursuit of power can corrupt even the most well-intentioned individuals. Their presence drives the plot forward, creates conflict, and forces our heroes to evolve and rise to the challenge. Which Game of Thrones villain do you find the most compelling? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the dark side of Westeros, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, remember, when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.